You ever wake up thinking it's just another quiet day, out on your own land, sun coming up through the Georgia pines, your biggest problem is a busted fence post, and maybe the rooster being late? You ever have all that peace ripped away in a flash, just like flipping a switch, and suddenly you're standing between your family and three armed men who came not for justice, but for war? That's how it started for me. Fixing a fence post while Denise was collecting eggs and Caleb, my boy, was loading up feed for the animals, and the world I'd built with my bare hands was about to get turned upside down by three deputies who thought they were bigger than the law, or maybe just thought we didn't matter. Now, they thought I was just another farmer, just another black man with dirt under his nails and no pull in this county. And you know what? That's how I liked it. They didn't know about the years I spent overseas, about what it means to dismantle threats quietly, about the kind of power you don't flex unless you have to. But before the sun set on that day, those deputies would learn that sometimes the quietest man is the one you should fear most, and the real war wasn't just what happened out in the yard. It was about to get a whole lot bigger than any of us expected. You know what I mean? The morning was gold and clean, dew on the grass, the kind of stillness you only get if you're far enough from the interstate. Denise was humming in the chicken coop, hands moving quick as she sorted eggs into a basket, and Caleb, well, he couldn't help but clown around, giving me a mock salute when I asked for the level. "Here you go, Commander, sir," he grinned, all teeth and mischief, and I just shook my head, told him, "At ease, soldier. I'm just a farmer now." Denise laughed from the coop, said I still hopped out of bed like it was 0500, and maybe she was right. You can take the man out of the mission, but you can't ever quite take the mission out of the man. I was checking the fence, making sure everything was squared away military precision in the garden, too, if you asked Denise, and for a moment, it really felt like we'd earned this peace. Caleb started going on about the county fair, how Matt Hopkins always wins the photo contest because his dad's the judge, and Denise told him not to let that stop him. There was something easy about the way the sunlight burned off the last of the fog, like we could just keep building, just keep planting, just keep loving each other, and the world would mind its own business for once. Yeah, that happened. But then, you know how it goes. Sometimes the world sends trouble your way whether you're ready or not. I heard the sound before I saw them tires crunching over gravel, engines humming just a little too long, and every instinct I tried to let go of snapped back into place. 3 white sheriff's cruisers, no lights, just that heavy kind of authority that lets you know they aren't here to chat about lost livestock. I put down my tools, and even before they stepped out, I could see that these men came looking for a fight, and I just happened to be their excuse. Carver led the way, hand on his belt, smile like a man who knows he's got backup. Deputies Mason and Hawthorne fanned out in a triangle, their formation tight, practiced. "Morning, folks," Carver said, but there wasn't a trace of warmth in his eyes. "Got some reports, stolen equipment, illegal sales, you know how it is." Denise, God bless her, tried to reason with them, so we kept records and could show them anything they needed. Mason shouldered past her, making her stumble. I saw Caleb step up, standing between Mason and the barn. "You can't just barge and don't you need a warrant?" Hawthorne, big man, all muscle, no mercy got right in his face. "Boy, you better watch your mouth." Next thing I knew, Hawthorne slammed Caleb against the barn, the whole building shuddering. Denise rushed in, got shoved so hard she hit the dirt, a cut blooming on her cheek. And me? I stood perfectly still, watching everything, not moving a muscle. Sometimes you fight by not fighting. Not yet. You wait. You assess. "This is private property," I said, my voice steady. "If you got questions, let's talk. But you're not manhandling my family." Carver closed the distance, said, "Your boy's resisting. That's an arrest." Mason was already poking through the tool shed, acting like a busted tractor part was enough to ruin a man's life. Caleb tried to speak up, and Hawthorne twisted his arm until he grunted in pain. Denise got back to her feet, dirt smeared down her jeans, eyes wide and wild but strong, unbreakable. "You folk forgot your place," Carver spat, and I felt the whole day snap in half, like the last string of normal had broken. They said it was our last warning. Either the boy comes quietly, or we add assaulting an officer, Mason said, pulling out cuffs. Caleb was shaking, trying to stand his ground. They yanked him away from the barn, slapped the cuffs on so tight he winced. Denise begged, "He's just 17. Whatever you think we did," Carver just smirked, opened the patrol car, said, "Maybe a night in lockup will teach him some respect." And that was it. The part of me that tries to forgive, tries to turn the other cheek, that part vanished. Hawthorne shoved Caleb toward the car. Mason taunted him, and Carver laughed. That's when I spoke, and when I did, I made sure every word carried. "Let my son go." Carver looked at me, cocky, said, "Or what, farmer? You gonna make us?" And then, yeah, the air shifted, the world kind of paused. 30 seconds, I told them. That's how long you have to leave my property. Mason tried to act tough, hand moving toward his weapon. "You threatening officers?" I said, "I'm giving you a choice. The smart one." They didn't listen, of course. Hawthorne shoved Caleb again, and that's when I moved. Some things are muscle memory. You train long enough, you don't think. I closed the distance in 2 steps, cracked Hawthorne's wrist, so he dropped Caleb, swept his legs, put him down. Mason tried to draw, but I twisted his wrist, sent the gun skittering. Slammed his face into the hood. Carver pulled his gun, but I dropped him with a sweep, knee on his chest, gun in my hand. Less than 5 seconds, start to finish. "Keys," I said, calm. Carver fumbled, hands shaking, gave them up. Tossed them to Denise, who freed Caleb, her hands trembling. "You're dead." Carver spat, but I was already emptying the magazine, tossing the weapon away. "Drive carefully now," I said, watching as all 3 scramble for their cars. No swagger left. They peeled out, engines howling, a trail of red dust in their wake. I didn't move until they were gone. Inside, Denise made coffee, hands shaking. Caleb sat silent, rubbing the marks on his wrists. "You sure about this?" Denise asked as I dialed Tom Garvey, the sheriff. "He needs to hear from me, directly." Caleb was wide-eyed. "You know the sheriff? We served together after a hurricane in Florida," I told him. "Before that, well, that's classified." Garvey answered, his voice tired, already on edge. I told him straight. "Your men assaulted my family. You want a problem? You'll get one." He threatened back, but I shut him down. "Keep your men off my land, Tom. Or next time, it's not a warning." The line went dead, and it felt like every silence in the house was loaded, waiting. That should have been the end of it, but you know it never is. That night, just when we'd started to breathe again, a truck engine roared up the road, then gunshots shattered the windows. Glass flying, Denise screaming, Caleb shouting from upstairs. I pulled Denise down, crawled through the kitchen, listened as the truck sped off, leaving behind the stink of gunpowder and a note stabbed to the gate. "This is our county. You'll learn your place." I burned that note, watched the words curl into black ash. The next morning, my old friend Major Price called. He'd dug up what I feared: deputies across 3 counties running coordinated schemes to seize black-owned farms. Trumped-up citations, missing equipment, developer friends waiting to scoop up land. Our name was on the list. Who's behind it? I asked. Local officials, judges, Garvey running point. Denise heard and just sat down, tears in her eyes. "It's not just us," I told her. "It's everybody." So we got to work. Went to the hardware store, bought surveillance gear, drones, cameras, motion sensors, built a security net over every inch of our land. Taught Caleb how to set the tech, program the drone, read patrol patterns. We watched, recorded, mapped every strange car, every late-night meeting. We found a pattern. All the farms near water, the ones marked for development. I checked on Earl Johnson. He'd lost cattle, been hit with fines, now faced foreclosure. "They're picking us off, one by one," he told me. "Badges instead of banks, but it's the same old game." That's when I realized we couldn't win alone. Denise started calling neighbors, gathering their stories, filling notebooks. At night, we watched headlights creep past, marked license plates, tracked unmarked trucks meeting with deputies. It was all connected, all building towards something ugly. Caleb took up a camera, started documenting, and he was good, sharp, fearless. You know, sometimes the best soldiers aren't the ones with a gun. We took it public, went to the county meeting, played footage of Mason roughing up Earl, late-night trespassing, deputies laughing as they posted foreclosure signs. Garvey tried to shout us down, but the crowd turned. Phones came out, people recorded, reporters scribbled. Denise spoke up for our son, for every family being targeted. For the first time, folks started talking about what was really happening. Online, Caleb's videos spread fast. People from all over the county, all over the country, started reaching out. The wall of silence was cracking. Then came the fire. Smoke woke us in the dark. Barn already ablaze, animals screaming. We barely got the horses and cattle out before the roof collapsed. Everything else was gone: equipment, tools, half our year's work. Fire marshal found accelerant, but we all knew nobody would be held responsible. Then, next day, they planted drugs in Caleb's truck at school. Deputies led him away in cuffs, cameras rolling, Mason grinning. I watched my boy thrown into the back of a squad car, knowing what it meant, knowing how the world would see him. Gang activity, the news said. Denise broke down in the car. I felt something freeze inside, colder than anger. That night, I called my old team men I trusted in war. Sam for digital surveillance, Hawk for field tracking, Reggie for infiltration. They showed up before dawn, quiet, ready. We got to work. Bugs in the sheriff's office, drones over meeting spots, recordings of Garvey arranging property deals with developers, everything tied together. Even Garvey's brother-in-law running the shell companies buying up seized land. The church became our headquarters. Denise, once just the school admin, now led meetings, coordinated testimony. Farmers spoke, reporters filmed, evidence mounted. Hawk and Caleb tracked deputies. Sam hacked records. Reggie planted bugs. Denise rallied the community. People got brave and angry. It wasn't just about us anymore. Every story was another link in the chain. With Price's help, the FBI moved in. We set up cameras in a warehouse where Garvey and his crew handed deeds to a developer for stacks of cash, and as soon as the exchange was made, agents poured in, lights flashing, guns drawn. Garvey looked at me like he finally understood, like maybe he'd picked the wrong fight. "You set this up," he spat. "No, I told him." "You did." The world saw him let out in cuffs, news crews everywhere. Caleb's charges dropped, our names cleared. When it was over, our neighbors rebuilt our barn, formed a cooperative to protect each other, and Caleb, he got a scholarship for journalism. His footage now a record of how a community stood up. Denise spoke at a conference in D.C. Earl kept his land. The Cross Farm survived, but nothing was quite the same. You can never go back to how it was. You only move forward. Sometimes I walked the fence line in the dawn, Denise beside me. Hand in hand, the world gold and new again, at least for a little while. We built something that can't be burned down or bulldozed. Not just a farm, but a community, a shield. You want to know about justice? Sometimes you have to fight for it. And sometimes fighting means standing together, speaking the truth, never blinking, never bowing. So what do you think? Was it justice or just another round in a fight that never ends? Let me know what side you're on. If this story hit you, share your own below. Let's talk about what's right, what's wrong, and what kind of world we want to leave behind.